Welcome to The Explainer. For about a century now, we've known a pretty brutal secret to a longer life: severe, constant calorie restriction. But what if you could get all those amazing benefits without all the misery? Well, today, we're going to break down a revolutionary approach to diet and aging that promises to do just that.
Okay, so let's just dive right in by starting with what is probably the most proven, but also the most punishing, method for extending life that's ever been discovered.
And this really gets to the heart of the problem with the single most successful anti-aging trick in history: calorie restriction. I mean, it absolutely works, but it comes with a massive, massive catch.
You know, the science behind it is actually pretty simple, but it's incredibly powerful. For over 100 years, researchers have seen that just eating 25% less makes animals, and, as we're about to see, humans, live significantly longer and healthier lives.
And this is the paradox. The health benefits are just incredible. We are talking about dramatic improvements in pretty much every key health marker you can think of. But the cost is severe. You lose precious muscle mass and bone density. You know, the very tissues that keep you strong, mobile, and resilient as you get older. It's a trade-off that, let's be honest, very few people are willing or even able to make.
Now, this is really interesting. This slide shows the results from the very first human trial, which was led by Dr. Roy Walford. He and his team literally locked themselves inside the biosphere for 2 years. And just look at those numbers. I mean, any doctor on the planet would call those results a miracle. But if you saw pictures of the participants when they came out, you'd also see the harsh reality of that trade-off. They were pushed to their absolute physical limits.
So, you've got this dramatic trade-off: incredible health benefits, but for extreme physical hardship. And this is what led researcher Dr. Valter Longo to ask a real game-changing question.
This was the big challenge. How do you keep those revolutionary effects on cholesterol, blood pressure, and inflammation, but avoid sacrificing your muscle, your bone, and just your vitality? The goal became finding a way to kind of trick the body into thinking it's fasting, without the chronic day-in, day-out deprivation.
And this search brings us to the really innovative solution they developed with funding from the National Institutes of Health, the Fasting Mimicking Diet, or FMD for short.
So here's the crucial point. This is not a lifestyle diet that you're on forever. Nope, it's a short 5-day program that you might only do a few times a year. It's specifically engineered to give you the benefits of a really long fast, but it still provides nourishment, which makes it something that people in the real world can actually do.
All right, now for the really powerful results from the clinical trials, which honestly make a heck of a case for how effective this thing is. The outcomes are pretty remarkable.
So get this, after just 3 monthly cycles of the 5-day FMD, people saw a major reduction in weight and, specifically, that dangerous visceral belly fat. But here's the kicker. Unlike calorie restriction or even some of these new weight loss drugs, FMD selectively targets the fat while preserving muscle. And that is the holy grail of healthy weight loss: losing the bad stuff while keeping the engine that burns calories and keeps you strong.
And this is a huge difference. While severe calorie restriction is kind of a blunt instrument, FMD acts more like a smart bomb for your metabolic health. It has this differential effect, right? It provides the biggest benefit to the people who need it the most. So, for example, in people with normal blood sugar, it caused a small reduction. But in pre-diabetics, it was powerful enough to move most of them right back into the normal range.
And this chart just illustrates that power perfectly in a head-to-head comparison. When researchers put diabetics patients on a healthy Mediterranean diet for 5 days a month, their A1C, which is a key measure of blood sugar control, it didn't really change. But with the FMD, whoa, a massive 1.4% reduction.
And maybe the most impactful result of all? In that same study, 70% of patients on FMD for diabetes and hypertension were able to either reduce their medication or get off their drugs completely. Just think about that for a second. This isn't just about better numbers on a chart. This is about people reclaiming their health and their freedom from taking a pill every single day. I mean, that is a truly life-changing outcome.
So what in the world is happening inside the body to produce these incredible results? Well, it's not just about weight loss. It's something much, much deeper, happening all the way down at the cellular level.
So how is this kind of powerful rejuvenation even possible? The answer seems to lie in cellular reprogramming. The diet appears to be flipping genetic switches that are normally only active when we're very, very young.
So in essence, these cycles of fasting and then refeeding, they trick the body into this powerful rejuvenation mode.
It triggers something called autophagy, where your body clears out old, damaged cells, and then it activates stem cells to repair and rebuild. It's like a system-wide reset.
Okay, this study in mice is just astounding. Researchers damaged the pancreas in these mice, destroying the cells that produce insulin. But then, they put the mice on cycles of FMD. And you can see what happened. The body turned on these embryonic, regenerative genes, and the pancreas grew back its insulin-producing cells. It literally regenerated a damaged part of an organ.
So what does this mean for humans? A number that sounds like it's straight out of science fiction. In a clinical trial, after just 3 monthly cycles of FMD, participants turned back their biological clock by an average of 2.5 years. Let that sink in for a moment.
So a 5-day reset can rewind the clock. But how do you keep it wound back and, build on those gains day after day? Well, Dr. Longo addressed this by combining his research with studies of the world's longest-lived people to create a kind of blueprint for everyday longevity.
So his everyday plan is mostly plant-based with some fish. And you'll notice the themes from FMD are right there. It emphasizes keeping protein intake controlled until you're about 65, and it focuses on getting nourishment from whole foods like legumes, grains, and vegetables, along with plenty of healthy fats.
Now, this is really interesting, his stance on daily fasting. I mean, 16/8 intermittent fasting is incredibly popular, right? But Dr. Longo calls it a bad idea, and he cites potential risks like losing muscle mass. Instead, he strongly recommends a much simpler, safer 12-hour eating window. So, for example, eating only between 8 in the morning and 8 at night.
So, when you put it all together, the big question is, are we on the verge of being able to program our own longevity? It feels like we're moving beyond just eating healthy and into an era of these strategic, periodic interventions. By mimicking the powerful regenerative effects of fasting, we might be gaining an unprecedented level of control over the aging process itself, rewinding our biological clock without all the suffering.